Welcome to the NLP UK Training podcast. I'm Callie Fraser.
And I'm Steve Kay.
And today we have the lovely Meg O'Connor. So Meg completed her NLP practitioner course with us, then went on to do our Master Practitioner course, and she's now on our current program, Three Principles Coaching, the Advanced Accredited Diploma. So Meg, we wanted to talk to you today about just how much your life has changed from when we first met you to where you are now.
Yeah, where do I start?
When you had a proper job, didn't you?
Yeah, when I first met you, I was definitely in a career that used to be so important to me. But I got to the point in that career where I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and that's what led me to the course. I knew that I didn't want to go any further up the ladder, but I felt a bit lost. I'd always been a girl with a plan and I had no plan, and it scared the living daylights out of me a little bit. So I booked onto NLP, and I remember that second day and I was just like, wow, like I couldn't believe that I'd gone through all of my life without knowing some of the stuff. And a lot of things started to click into place in terms of how I'd maybe behaved before, why I'd felt a certain way. So yeah, I've got 3 children, 1 husband, and I had a career that I'd put
just the one.
Yeah, just the one. And I had a career that I'd put at the forefront of probably a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have done, looking back now.
I think there's probably quite a lot of people out there that would really resonate with that. Because I think in our society, that career focus and going up the ladder there's so much importance placed on it.
Yeah. And I think what I'd quickly become to realise is that in that career, I was the girl that would always put my hand up to do more. And I wanted everything to be perfect. So if I went in to present, I would spend a lot of time prepping and making sure I'd anticipated every question, everything was perfect. And then when I'd get into the presentation, I remember I'd be sometimes so much in my head and disconnected from people that it didn't always go the way I wanted it to anyway. But after doing NLP, I realised that there was a limiting belief there that I wasn't actually good enough to do that job, because I'd not come from an academic background and I felt like I had to prove myself. So I was working lots of hours, putting that job and career at the top of the list.
Yeah.
And everything else was starting to suffer. And then it's like I got to a certain point, and that's what was so confusing for me, because I was like, I knew I didn't want to go any further up the ladder, but my identity was so attached to being a business analyst that I didn't actually quite know who I was or what I was doing.
Yeah, so who is Meg really?
And I'd never asked that.
Yeah.
I'd never asked that. I never decided that I was going to become a business analyst. I just fell into it and was good at it, so threw everything into it. I'd never asked who I was or what I wanted to do. And I was 32 at this point, I think. So it still blows my mind that I'd never considered any of those things. So yeah, it wasn't something that I discovered straight away. It took me a while, months to get to it.
Yeah, that's all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember we had a coaching session after your NLP practitioner course, and you said, I've made a list, Steve. Can I share a document with you? And you pulled out this spreadsheet that was like 10 sections long, and you were showing me the developments of your website and stuff. And I remember saying, put that away, we don't need that. And I remember saying to you, you can't have a website until you've got 6 coaching clients.
That was the best thing you ever did for me. It really was, because I think what that forced me to do was step out of my comfort zone. I was comfortable. I'd come from an IT background anyway, so I was comfortable from doing the preparation and getting everything I needed. But that actually going out and getting clients was the uncomfortable bit for me. And it forced me to do that. And it was quite an achievable goal, 6 clients as well. I'm thinking,
It's interesting, isn't it? People feel they're being busy and active, but actually they're not.
Yeah.
Whereas once you realise that, you became really active and you got clients quite quickly, didn't you?
Yeah, surprisingly quickly.
Can I recall another conversation?
Of course, yeah.
That was we were talking about pricing for coaching,
Yeah.
and you were like a business analyst on a really good salary, and you said, "Well, I know my worth. I know that not many people can communicate like I can. So a lot of business analysts haven't got the skills I've got, so I know my worth."
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of transferring that into your coaching business, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember that conversation because I was so certain in that area, but I didn't realise it at the time. So when we had that conversation and I was able to transcend that over because all those skills were still relevant in my coaching career, that personability, that being able to talk to people, being able to connect with people, and some of my history and background in terms of what my journey was, I was like, I
got
do
it.
have it, yeah.
So Meg, where are you now? Because it was 2022 that you did your NLP practitioner course with us. So what's happened between then and now?
Wow, a lot's happened. Stuff that I would never have believed when I first came onto NLP. So I've left my career. I am no longer employed. I'm no longer working my way up a ladder to anywhere. I do full-time coaching. I work a lot with people with confidence or in rehabs. And I am moving to Australia.
Fantastic. Yeah. So your whole family are off to Australia in just, 2 months' time?
In 2 months, yeah.
Now, that's a big change, isn't it?
That is a big change.
It's interesting, isn't it? When you did Master Practitioner, which was 12 months ago, I think 3 people, including yourself, have all gone abroad.
Yeah.
So Angela went to gave up a role in working for a big county council.
Yeah.
And she went to Bali doing yoga and NLP and breakthrough days and coaching. And Craig has also uprooted his family and they've gone touring around the Far East.
Yeah, they're having a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're coming back and then going back again, aren't they, to Bali?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going whereabouts in Australia again?
To the Gold Coast.
Oh,
I need to be near the beach.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Wow.
So you're midway through your Coaching with Three Principles course.
Yeah.
And you'll still have a couple of modules left to do. So that's going to be some very bleary-eyed overnight sessions, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. They are. But I've done overnights before, so I'm prepared. And I'm looking forward to it. I really do like those sessions.
Yeah. They're really enjoyable because they're led by the delegates, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas, can we go back and just talk about your NLP practitioner?
Yeah, go for it.
So what did you get from doing that? What was what did that enable you to do?
I think the NLP practitioner enabled me to consider other options that I'd never considered before. And I think when you've got that block where I'd heard of people going and changing their life and doing different things, but I never associated that could be me. So that removed that block for me to then start that discovery in terms of what I really wanted. Do you know those voices that sometimes whisper to you that you just ignore? Mine was completely ignored and they just started to slowly come through.
Yeah? Was it your voice?
Yeah. So yeah.
So you had some growth after you did the practitioner, because that's when you decided to set up on your own as a coach.
Yeah.
Then you did Master Practitioner a few months later.
Yeah.
A year ago. And what was the growth from doing the Master Practitioner? What do you get from that?
The Master Practitioner, I remember, was such a big deal for me because I just completely let everything go of the things that I didn't want to carry anymore. So all the emotions that were still there, like fear played such a big part in my life. Even with the kids, I used to be scared if they'd go in the sea. Like I was always that worst case scenario sort of person. And what happens is when I let that go, it freed up so much time for other things. And when I finished that breakthrough day, that was when I 100% knew that I was going to leave my career, that I was going to move to Australia. And I remember writing the God sent it to you, and that I was going to go and completely change my life with a belief that I never had before.
Wow.
And isn't it interesting that all of that energy that you were putting into the fear stuff, that must have been exhausting.
It was exhausting, and I didn't realize how much it was exhausting until I'd let it go. And I think once I got that first taste of what life was like without having so much fear and anxiety and sort of trying to work everything out, like I wanted to kind of control every situation external around me, which is not very achievable. So when I got that first glimpse of not having that, I just remember feeling so free, and it's just the best feeling.
And what about the 3 Ps? Because you've done 2 modules, and you've done some coaching yourself using the kind of deep dive coaching, and you've got another module at the end of the week. So what's been the uplift from doing the 3 Ps? Say different to Master Practitioner. What's been the...
The 3 Ps is just, again, mind-blowing. What I was able to do with 3 Ps is I had a sense of responsibility that I carried round, probably some from my past in terms of how I grew up. And that's something that I could never shake. So I was the sort of person, when somebody needed me, I'd kind of like throw my life on hold and I would go and be whatever I needed to be for them.
Okay.
And that was so, do you know, when we talk about layers deep, that was so far deep of the core of me that I didn't even anticipate who I was without it, and why it was there so deep. And 3 Ps just allowed me to really look at the scary parts of that, and face it head on, and then let it go, in terms of letting that responsibility go and allowing me to put myself first, and my family.
You're more chilled. So can I ask you, what has changed for you as a parent since doing all this programming?
Do you remember on that first session of practitioner, what I told you what I used to do? I remember your reaction. So I've always been a big thing of gratefulness, right? But I used to ask the kids at dinner time to go around the table and tell me what they was grateful for.
I remember.
I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking more about the way you told me you'd been parenting slightly differently with your eldest.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going back that far.
But that's exactly the point, because I was very methodical, maybe.
Did you have a spreadsheet for gratefulness?
I had a spreadsheet for parenting.
I couldn't even dream of doing that in our house. Like, what are you grateful for, Josh? Shut up, Dad.
And I've got a 17-year-old, so probably 15 at the time. So you can imagine how that went down.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like, the little things used to really irritate me. So when the kids didn't put the shoes on the rack in the porch, that really irritated me. Whereas now, I just don't let that stuff irritate me. I'm able to communicate from a much better place, and the irritation just isn't there. I'm not saying it's never there, because occasionally it does creep up, but it's like...
The control's gone.
Yeah, the control has gone. Yeah, definitely.
That must make for such a happier, more chilled out family life.
Oh, it really does. And even like my husband's noticed it. Yeah.
So we'll have more for Meg later.
Absolutely. So, guys, lovely to speak to you today, Meg. Meg's going to be back with us on another one of our podcasts. So tune in next time and we will see you soon. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
Bye from me too.
See you next time.